So I want to show you guys my 3 favorite automations that I've seen our customers use at Thoughtly inside of their AI voice agents and running their campaigns. Some really creative stuff I've seen people use inside of our automation builder, and I just want to share my 3 favorite ones with you inside of this video. So with that being said, before I jump into my 3 favorite automations, I do want to explain kind of what the basis of automations is inside of Thoughtly. So I'm sure you guys have heard of the automation builders like Make.com, N8N, Zapier, the list goes on. However, we do have our own automation builder natively on our platform that we've made specifically for your voice agent. This could be used for a variety of things: your call campaigns, SMS campaigns, your form submissions, your CRM management. This can be used in a variety of ways, and that's what I'll be displaying here with my favorite automations that I've come across. So the first things first, I'll show you a very simple one, and then we'll move our way up to the more complex ones. But my first favorite automation that's been created is directly tied to Typeform. And I'll show you kind of what the basic version of it looks like. The basic version of collecting a form from Typeform and shooting off a call is just like this. We get a new response coming in from Typeform, we create a contact inside of Thoughtly, we call it contact. However, what we had somebody do is they used our automations as kind of a qualifier for whether this person is going to receive a booking link or not. So if somebody submitted a form, we then take a custom prompt here and we're going to run it through an LLM to see if they're qualified to book an appointment with one of the representatives. So we say below are the answers from an intake form. Here's the answers we're looking for. And then they give the answers they're looking for. Here's the answers that we got. Now your job is to kind of differentiate these two and see how many that this person is qualified for. So if they got 2 answers that are considered good answers for us, then they're qualified. If they have 3 answers, they're qualified. But if they do have 1 answer, that means they're not qualified. And in this case, they're going to receive a call from the operator, and the operator is going to tell them that they're not qualified, and we're going to give them another chance to get qualified via a phone call. Now, in this example, we have a switch module that does this exactly. Once it's been generated from the custom prompt saying you can only respond with their score and nothing else, meaning 1 through 3, we have a switch module that says if this custom prompt, which can be found right here, equals 1, I want you to call with the operator. The operator pretty much says, hey, you didn't pass, you're not necessarily qualified. I'd like to ask some questions to see if I could further get you qualified. It's almost a way of saying goodbye if they don't get qualified on that call. And then we have 2 other switch modules, if the result equals 2 or 3, that send a text message saying, you did a great job, you qualified, here's a link to book your appointment. Now, super cool automation, a good way of qualifying leads to see if they can work with you. If they don't, you could even give them another try using your AI voice agents. All right, now you guys are gonna think I'm crazy for saying this is my second favorite, but it is. The second one here is as simple as taking all of the responses from all of your calls, extracting the fields that you need. So we have just a tag here that needs to be extracted. Everything else is just inside the standard payload, and then a webhook off to an external platform. It's as simple as this, but what happens behind the scenes is actually really cool. So we have our incoming webhook, which could be found inside of General, clicking on Developer, and then creating a webhook for all of your agents. As you can see, I tied in all the agents into this webhook. So anytime a response has been committed through any of these agents, it's going to fire off this webhook. Once that webhook gets caught, we're then going to extract just a tag for this conversation. So we run an extraction field saying your job is to generate a tag. Was this call positive, negative, or neutral, or did it go to voicemail? It then generates that tag along with all of the payload that could be found inside this webhook, including transcripts, summary, recording URL, dispositions, the time of the call, and the tag. We then take this webhook, and very simple, we throw it in Make.com or N8N, and we throw it into a Notion. Now this Notion is going to act like our own CRM. This is perfect for agencies, by the way. So we take the response found inside of that payload that was sent over here, and it gets tossed into Notion. Simple as just aligning each response with each one of these segments right here. So we have like agent name, recording, response, transcript, email, name, summary, start time. All of this can be found inside of the payload that we sent over. And you might think like, why is this important? Well, if you want to show people analytics, I think Notion's a great way to do that. It's very cheap, and it's a great way of kind of viewing how everything's going. Inside of this one in particular, this is where it's all going towards. We upload all of this into kind of a spreadsheet look, and then we have different ways of viewing it. So we could view how many calls each agent is making, what the response looks like based on the tags that we've put. We have this many positive response, this many neutral, this many voicemails. We could look and view it inside of each segment here. We could look at the calendar to see how many calls have been made on each day. And the list goes on. You can make a bunch of different views inside of this platform, which makes it really easy to kind of sell this, by the way. If you're an agency, you could sell this solution, or you could use it internally for your own business. So it's extremely simple automation. Sending a webhook. Webhook extracts a tag. That webhook then gets caught inside of make.com. Make.com just aligns it inside of Notion. Given the fact we don't have a native integration with Notion, this is the best way of doing it. But once it's inside of Notion, you could make a bunch of different views where you could view all the analytics and present it to your clients. Now, the last and my most favorite automation is actually one that I created on behalf of one of our clients here. So this automation is responsible for making outbound calls. As you can see, we have a webhook that triggers all of this. However, these calls, we could only send it to a certain agent based on the time of the day, because this agent transfers to a human. So we can't send it to the off hours agent in hours, and we can't do the in hours agent when we're off hours. So if that makes sense, the next thing we're going to do when we get a webhook from their CRM is we're going to configure it by taking the time, responding with just the day and time. So it gives us the day and time through this custom prompt. We then say, here's the day and time. Based on this day and time, is it Saturday or Sunday? If it's Saturday or Sunday, or if it's Saturday or Sunday, reply yes. If it's not, reply no. So if yes, it's going to be calling the outbound agent by creating a contact and then calling the off hours agent, given the fact it's Saturday or Sunday. Now, if it replied no, that means that it is not Saturday or Sunday, so we have to keep on continuing here. Now, we go ahead and we generate just the time now, because we know it's not Saturday or Sunday. We then say, is this time between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.? If the time is outside the hours of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., then respond no and nothing else. If it is, respond yes. So if it's between the hours of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., we then call with the in-hours agent. If it's not, we call with the off-hours agent. So this is a great way of triaging your conversations to only call with certain agents based on the time of somebody's submission. So if somebody just submitted a form, you would run this automation, detect what time it is, call with the correct agent based on the time that you're currently in. Super, super awesome automation. I just love it so much. Maybe it's because I built it, but great way of sending calls to different agents based on criteria. And this could be used in a bunch of different ways, but I like this use case of sending to two different agents because the agent's functionalities will vary. For example, transferring could only be done in the in-hours agents, and booking can only be done on the off-hours agent. So that's going to be my 3 favorite automations. I recommend taking notes on each one of these automations, putting it inside your own account because they could come in handy for you. But I hope you guys find these automations just as impressive as I do. And as we add more integrations on the Thoughtly platform, you guys could expect crazier and crazier automations to come.